Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy, Football Talk. And your boy is back at it again with another reaction video. Today, we are reacting to Madden 27 franchise mode finally feels alive. From the man himself, let me move the camera. From the man himself, Eric Wayweather. You know we gotta check this out. Franchise mode, this is my baby right here. If you guys are new to the channel, this is one of the modes that I started off with this YouTube channel. So this holds a special place in my heart. My heart. You know, so I'm super excited to hop into this. Hopefully you guys are ready to hop into this with your boy as well. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go.
For years, one of the biggest problems with franchise mode is that players never really acted like actual people. Guys would sit on bad contracts, nobody ever held out, nobody would demand trades, and contract negotiations were basically just moving numbers around on a screen and hoping the player said yes. Now, I just got done reading through the entire Madden 27 franchise deep dive, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw words like the Persona engine, I said, oh, here we go again. Because you know, when it comes to any of these sports games, publishers always like to give things fancy names, and in the past, we've seen some good things happen, but we've also seen some other things hyped up that just didn't really work. Now, on paper, franchise mode, in my opinion, looks like it's finally getting to that spot that we really have wanted it to be at for a long time.
I like to hear that.
That we'll have to wait and see, but let's break down everything you can expect in Madden 27. We're talking things like player holdouts, trade demands, interactive contract negotiations, a completely new free agency system, and much more.
New free agency
system. They also haven't released
system.
a bunch of footage for franchise mode, so I'm going to have to use some of the footage from the opening drive event. So the first thing we have to talk about is the Persona engine, which is the big marketing thing this year, but they're calling this the biggest foundational change to franchise mode since the first year of Connected Franchise. And I believe they're calling this a big foundational change.
When was Connected Franchise?
This isn't a system of just adding new features, and it's more so adding how the entire franchise mode lives and breathes. So if it works properly, this would be a very massive foundational change. Now, the foundation of franchise mode this year is the new Persona engine, a system designed to make players behave more like real people. This is going to impact things like player behavior, their contract negotiations, things like weekly management, news, free agency, and more. And it's going to create a more dynamic and unpredictable franchise experience, which is what we all want. Every player will now have a unique Persona DNA that determines their mindset, their motivations, their career priorities, their reactions to things, and their long-term behavior. More than 65 personality types exist, and players can even develop temporary persona traits over time. Now, as a result, players will evaluate their situations differently. A star who feels underpaid may react differently than a veteran chasing a championship, while a younger player on a struggling team may have different priorities than a franchise quarterback on a contender. Unlike the traditional scripted scenarios of the past, the Persona engine serves as the behavioral foundation for franchise mode. Most of the old scripted scenarios have been removed, with player decisions now driven organically by context and their individual Persona DNA. This allows players to make career decisions based on their goals, their role, their contract.
I like that change right there. So now it's based off of what's really going on, like in franchise, instead of it being you had a little bit of it at the start, but not really. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how all this, like, if it works, because obviously they can say, oh, we got this new thing, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's gonna be interesting to see if it works. And he's probably gonna talk about this. They talked about the other teams, like the CPU type of teams, they will have their own thing going on. So it won't be like a scripted thing. Like they could make trades and like crazy trades that we've seen in the off season or things of that nature. They can do that as well. So that's gonna be dope if it works. If it doesn't, obviously,
Track situation, team success, and future outlook. Again, if this all works, this is going to be one of the biggest changes franchise mode has ever seen, but
Definitely
we got to
is.
see it in action to know for sure. And they said that this is inspired by real life. It says the last several months of football gave us contract disputes, holdouts, trade demands, unhappy stars, and
Yep.
teams trying to manage all of it in real time. And they said they wanted to bring that feeling and
Nah,
suspense
this is,
into
bro.
Madden. That
I hope
tension
it
is part
works.
of
I
modern
really do.
NFL team building, and they wanted franchise mode to capture that. So let's move into the next part of this, which is player holdouts and trade demands. Now, in terms
Ooh,
of player holdouts, I don't even
holdouts
think
and
we've
trade
had this in the game
demands.
since maybe the PS2 days. And for a while, it was said that the NFL didn't want something like this in the game because, you know, it made their players look bad. But I guess they've gotten around that. And this has been one of the most requested features in the history of franchise mode since it went away.
Yeah.
Players can now hold out. If a star feels underpaid or undervalued or just
Nah,
unhappy with the
this is
situation,
gonna
he can
be
refuse to participate
crazy.
until the issue is addressed. And this is not a random event that fires off as just a notification. Holdouts are driven by the persona engine. A player's DNA, their contract status, team success, and more will factor into whether he decides to take a stand.
Oh, so it's not scripted. Oh, damn. Damn. So it's based off of a lot of things I can like what real life football is. So if maybe he's not getting enough playing time, or maybe he plays on defense and the defense is doing bad, or he's not, you know, he's not on the right guy, or he wants to be slotted over to the left side, but you're keeping him on the right. Things of that nature that could cause him to be like, I don't know if I want to come back. Like the contract ain't really doing what it's supposed to be doing. Like I ain't really getting the money. I'm sorry for looking at that camera. My webcam is normally right here. I'm on my phone right here recording off of this, so I do apologize for that. But this will be super dope if it, like I said, if it works. Hopefully, I got faith that it's gonna work.
And a holdout will be an active situation that requires real management. You can negotiate, you can have a conversation to try to shift
You
his
gotta
mindset,
really manage
you can wait
it
it out and
too.
see if he comes around, or you can explore trade, which I like hearing all this. There's different ways that you can attack
I like
this,
that
which is
you
just
can
like
explore
real
the
life.
trades.
Now, we also have player trade demands. When things deteriorate beyond a holdout, players can now demand a trade. This is when it reaches the escalation point. When a player has decided the relationship is no longer working and he wants out, he's going to make that known. And the trade demands are driven by the same persona DNA system. Now, when a star wants out, it's going to hit the news, which is another new part of franchise mode this year. You have the news ticker
It's
where
going to be
it'll
on
pop
the
things
news?
up. Other teams are going to start calling, and suddenly you're in a position where you have to decide how you want to handle it. But it also says here that conversations can change the outcome. Just as importantly, you're not limited to just watching this play out. If a player is unhappy, you can talk to him. You can try to shift his mindset, and depending on who he is and how compelling your case is, you may be able to repair the relationship and change what happens next. And it says this is a key part of what makes the persona engine special. It's not just creating more drama, it's creating more interactive player management. And I think this is really good. I just really hope this all works. Hey, if you're still here at this point of the video and you
This
haven't
does
subscribed
sound
yet, you should
really,
go ahead and
really
subscribe
intriguing,
because I'm
though.
gonna have some exclusive Madden 27 content coming for you
I'm not
guys really
too
soon,
big into
including
this,
some more
like
early
with the
gameplay.
franchise
You're
mode,
not gonna
but
want to miss out on any of that. Now,
well,
moving on to the
I
next
started
part of
with
all of this is called
26.
emergent actions, and it says this is a
What's
better
that?
weekly
Emergent
flow.
actions.
Emergent actions replace the old weekly flow from Madden 26 with a focus on interaction and prioritization. They're not notifications or unorganized clutter. Every emergent action asks you to make a real decision. A player wants to talk about his role, a contract situation is heating up. These surface based on what is actually happening in your league.
And by the way, I
driven by the
love
persona engine.
this, like,
Emergent
I love this whole thing right here. This looks so much more cleaner. I think did I do a reaction to this? Yeah, I think I just watched it on my own. But I really like how clean of a look this is. And look right here. It shows your priorities. And look at that. Oh, I didn't even realize they have ESPN branding. Do they have that in 26? Damn, I gotta look at franchise mode 26, man. Hold on, let me put my camera right here. I don't think they have this in 26. I could be wrong. But nah, this is super dope right here. I like this.
Actions are designed to bring the most important things you need to care about every week to you and transform weekly management from a chore into meaningful decision making. This is one of the clearest examples of the Persona engine changing the actual shape of franchise. A player issue does not live in some disconnected screen. It becomes part of your week, just like weekly strategy became a meaningful part of your week in Madden 26. You can also now delegate actions to your staff. When you do, you will see exactly what your staff plans to do before you confirm. So there's no guesswork or no blind delegation. Now, we spoke a little bit about news previously, but let's go a little deeper on that now. There's a new system for getting news that is built into Madden 27. A persistent news ticker now runs across every screen, so you never miss what is happening around the league. Major stories trigger breaking news alerts with picture-in-picture, presentation, and Scott Hansen audio. And a dedicated news center screen is accessible
we got
from
Scott Hansen on the audio with it?
Stats, the news center is always one button away. You'll never have to hunt for it. The news center includes filters so you can narrow down just your team, just your multi-user league, specific story types like trades and draft coverage, or league-wide news. You have total control over what you're seeing. And this might seem like a small thing, but honestly, this is one of my favorite additions that they added this year because it just looks like a real news ticker, and it also works pretty good from what I've seen. And it kind of brings back that old feel of, you know, maybe like a Tony Bruno show or like the newspaper. Obviously, it's a completely different system. We're in 2026 now, but it gives me similar vibes to that. Now, continuing on here, breaking news pops up through a brand new notification system that is impossible to miss. Rumors surface in a way that keeps franchise connected to what is happening beyond your team. This will include real evolving stories around questions like which players are unhappy with their contract, tired of losing, or would be willing to restructure their contracts to help the team with the cap room. And because this is all tied to the Persona engine, the news is not just decorative, it is grounded in actual league behavior. So as you can see, this is why they're calling it such a big foundational year, because the Persona engine kind of runs all of this stuff. But again, we just have to hope that it works properly.
Yeah.
Now, this brings us to the next really big thing about franchise mode this year, and that's interactive contract negotiations. Contract negotiations have been completely rebuilt in Madden 27 with a new multi-session negotiation mini-game designed to create a more interactive back and forth between the players and the teams. Negotiations now include patience and interest meters, as well as curveball moments that can change the direction of a negotiation. Because negotiations are driven by the Persona engine, each player can value different things and approach contract talks differently. So for example, discussions may begin with salary demands but can shift toward guarantees, contract length, team role expectations, or other priorities based.
Wait a minute. Do we have the? We ain't have the. We don't got this in 26. Do we? Oh, they got the incentives. Oh, nah. Nah, sitting down, I keep it simple. The contract value isn't where it needs to be yet. Okay, so the coach, Ben Johnson, says let's bump up the bonus slightly so you get more guaranteed money early. Okay, so you increase by 5%, increase base salary by 10, add a guarantee year or hold firm. Keep terms unchanged to test the flexibility. Woo! 1 year, 4.8 million, 15.6 million. Average bonus 10.8, no trade clause. Deal breakers in cap space. I'm just reading all. I'm just like scanning all this. Damn, bro.
Demands but can shift toward guarantees, contract length, team role expectations, or other priorities based on a player's personality. Your decisions throughout the negotiation impact both the patience and the interest. If patience reaches 0, the negotiation will end, while reaching 100 interest allows you to complete the deal and sign the player. Players can now introduce unexpected demands and take negotiations in different directions, creating unique
patience and
interest from player to player.
That's cool.
The new negotiation interface also displays player ratings, persona DNA, and statistics, which will allow you to evaluate players without leaving the screen, which is another huge plus. Now, continuing on with this, that brings us to tags, tenders, and real off-season tools. So every type of franchise tag and transition tag is now in the game. The exclusive franchise tag locks a player on your team. The non-exclusive franchise tag allows teams to make an offer, but you receive 2 first-round picks as compensation. The transition tag gives you the right to match any offer. Each one works differently and carries different salary implications and gives tagged players different rights. Restricted free agency now includes every tier of the RFA tender with proper draft pick compensation. First round, second round, original round, and the right of first refusal tenders are all available. So these give you the same tools that real front offices use to protect young talent while managing cap space. Again, this is the type of stuff we've been asking about for years. So if it works properly, franchise is finally getting to the spot where we truly want it to be.
If it does work right,
And
bro,
that brings us to free
gonna be
agency,
tough.
which was redone a few years ago.
Free agency
made it a little bit crazier, but I think a lot of people are gonna like this. Free Agent Frenzy is a new live offseason event where all 32 teams compete to sign free agents during a compressed 12-hour
Wait, what?
Opening hours of NFL free agency. Teams advance.
Oh my god, we got a free agency frenzy. Yo, I wonder how this is gonna be for like the online franchise. Bro, can you imagine? Like, what? Nah, that's gonna be crazy. And by the way, I like this as well. Like, these are the little messages, like how they have like an in superstar mode, like when you're talking to your coach or something, like, or excuse me, not your coach, when you're talking to your agent. I like this right here. This is obviously, you know, a lot of people are not gonna care about this, but for me, I love the aesthetics of things. So this is really cool. I like this.
Hour by hour, deciding when to be aggressive and when to hold back. Player ratings, stats, and persona DNA are all available on the event screen to help inform decisions.
Damn,
now,
his patience, bro. My boy Villa patience low.
Free Agent Frenzy creates a more competitive free agency experience where every decision can impact the market. Madden 27
and this is at the
also
end of the season
undrafted
too.
Rookie free agents. After the draft, undrafted prospects enter a dedicated signing window that functions as a second free agent frenzy event. This gives every team an opportunity to compete for overlooked prospects and add developmental talent before the preseason. This kind of reminds me more of how free agency was back in Madden 12, I believe. It was a little more chaotic. It had a timer and things like that. This is
you know what? That's one of the Maddens system, I never played.
This kind of helps simulate how chaotic real life free agency actually
is. Because you see
now,
it all the time.
Something else that is a huge deal with franchise mode, and that is Super Sim. And it says it's been rebalanced. But they say this all the time, so we gotta wait and see. It says one of the biggest pieces of feedback that they heard is that playbooks had too much influence on sim outcomes. When certain schemes become overly powerful, teams start performing in ways that do not match their actual personnel or ratings. It says Super Sim has been fully retuned to reduce volatility and put more weight back on ratings and roster quality. The best rosters should still produce the best results. But I have to be honest, you gotta show me. You can't tell me with this one because we've heard this in the past.
I do like
this.
Is
a huge immersion breaker,
especially for Super Sim people.
It also says teams adapt with the roster. One of the most exciting long-term changes is that teams will now adapt their playbooks based on personnel. If a team moves on from a quarterback who defined their offensive identity and drafts a new QB with a completely different style, the team adjusts how they play.
The team adjusts now?
In Super Sim. Same goes with building your offense around a new star halfback or running back. When Travis Kelce leaves the Chiefs, they won't spend the next 10 years throwing to their tight end like he's still on the roster. Again, you're going to have to show me instead of just...
Yes, you are going to have to show me this, but if this works, for me, this would be the best feature in franchise. So if you move on from a player, or say a player retires and like he was pretty much your offense, like they said, like a Travis Kelce or a Jaden Daniels, what if he gets traded? They're not going to run that same offense as if he was still there. Like, it's going to be a completely different offense. That is going to be super dope if it works. A lot of these things are obviously if it works. When it comes to franchise mode, that's what a lot of these things are, more so than the other modes where you can kind of, you know, show and stuff like that, and you know, you have more time. Because franchise, you're really in depth into it. A lot of people are. So it's gonna be one of those things where you got to get your hands on it to actually, you know, see how it goes.
Telling me when it comes to stuff like this, but if this is true, this is a massive change. Even though it may seem small to some people, this is actually a pretty big deal.
This is definitely a big
We
one.
also have a real coach mode finally. Not every franchise player wants to control every snap. Some want to just
Yes, let's go, coach
will
mode,
give you that
baby.
experience. You can call the plays, manage the roster, handle emergent actions, and
I
let your
am
players
doing
execute on
coach
the
mode.
field. And with the new
My
coach
first
mode
time playing
settings
Madden
and cameras
27,
that
I'm
they've
doing
added
coach
to the
mode.
game this year, it's going to make this experience so much better. We
Bro,
also
look
have
how
real
dope this looks.
coordinators in the game finally. I was really unsure
Oh,
if
we
this would ever
got
make a
real
return, but this year, the
coordinators.
coaching staff got a lot more real. The coaching staff and franchise now includes
I like
real
that.
NFL coordinators. Your offensive and defensive coordinators are no longer generic stand-ins, but real people with defined identities, adding another
I
layer of
like
authenticity to staff
this.
management that has been requested for a long time. They also mentioned college coach archetypes, which is pretty cool. Your coaching career no longer
College
has
coach
to end at the
archetypes?
college level. The college coach archetype knows that you play dynasty mode this year in college and will unlock a special coach archetype when you start your career in franchise mode that includes special coach abilities.
So it knows you played Dynasty in college. So now it's going to unlock an archetype coaches. Nah, that's definitely gonna be an underrated. That's probably gonna be the most underrated feature in Madden 27. That is dope. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm liking what I'm hearing so far. Not gonna what I'm hearing so far. We still got a little bit.
And play sheets that you cannot unlock with any other coach archetype in franchise mode. So this is just another way that they're connecting college football and Madden, which I think is pretty cool.
Definitely.
They've also added dynamic weather, which I have talked about in previous videos, but this is going to be a big deal in franchise mode as well, because now the weather can change on a play-to-play basis.
So
the
clean.
rain can get
Look how it
stop
goes off of
completely.
Jalen Hurts,
The game can begin with no snow, and then by the end of the game, it's a blizzard, and that's going to make the weather games feel a lot more real. It also says here that they've improved wear and tear. It says this year they're making it smarter and more impactful.
They improved wear and tear?
Decisions you make about workload, rest, and usage now carry more authentic consequences across a full season. A workhorse running back who never gets a breather is going to feel it down the stretch. And for those of you that like to create your own coaches, it says that they've also added some more customization options. And hey, last year they added a ton of these, so I'm happy to see that they're
they definitely did.
Even though they added so much.
You know, I never have done this. I gotta check this out.
Hats, visors, and headsets, which is pretty cool.
Oh, you can remove visors and
Another big
headsets?
thing here that I'm going to have to see before I believe it is smarter CPU trade logic. It says that trades have been expanded under the hood to create more authentic environments in franchise. Teams are now more active around key points of the season.
Anything with being smarter with the CPU, I'm here for it.
To begin the rebuilding process. When they do execute a trade, a greater emphasis on immediate impact as well as the money they'll have to invest in their new acquired asset will be a critical consideration. And it says that this doesn't just stop at the trade deadline. During the offseason, CPU teams will now trade exactly as you see on the biggest stage, the NFL draft. This is another very, very big change. The prospects available will determine whether a team aggressively moves up for the perfect fit or opts to find future value when the board didn't work out in their favor. This is another really key thing that has been missing for franchise for a long time. And another thing here that's really cool is tiered player abilities. It says that this year there's a new dynamic element to player abilities and gameplay. They're called tier.
I'm not gonna lie to you, these tier abilities thing, I'm for it. I did see some people, they don't really like the abilities and stuff like that. But for me, I love these right here. Got Myles Garrett. Obviously, he's not with the Browns anymore. He with the Rams. They did show him in the Rams gear, by the way, on their YouTube channel. Unstoppable Force, obviously, Enforcer, Quick Jump, Edge Threat. I mean, he got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motherfucker got 6 abilities. Jesus.
Tiered abilities. In franchise, these tiered abilities are now tied to player progression. Players will enter the league with ability tiers based on their real life performance.
Players enter the league with it.
Throughout the seasons, their abilities will improve with them. I think they're
that's gonna be so dope.
The ability system from college now, and they're bringing that over to
Madden.
But I think in Madden, because these are pro level athletes, they can unlock more abilities than the college players can. So I think this is going to be a better overall system. People seem to like it better in college, so it looks like they're just bringing that to Madden now, and I think that's going to be a good change. Now, a big part of what makes this year different according to them is not just the size of the feature list, it's the way that the features are going to connect. Last year they delivered a lot of big franchise updates, but this year they wanted to add more than just features. They wanted the systems to feel integrated. The Persona DNA, the news, the negotiations, the weekly management, the contracts, the free agency, they wanted to all kind of reinforce each other. And it says this is why the Persona engine matters so much. It's not one isolated feature, it's a thing that makes all of franchise mode come alive. Again, we have to see it to believe it because we've heard about different engines and different systems in the past, and some of them have been better than others, but a lot of times they didn't fully deliver what we thought they would. And I'm not expecting everything in the mode to be perfect. I'm not expecting every
It's not gonna
system
be
to just
perfect.
absolutely blow my mind, but if they can deliver a solid experience based
Yeah.
on all of this information,
Definitely.
then franchise mode is going to be in the best spot it's been in a very, very long time. Now, if you want to know more about actual Madden 27
Well, alrighty then. I've been recording for a long time. I'm super excited. Man, oh man. What feature do you think is gonna be executed the best? Or what feature is not in this that you guys do want to see in franchise mode? Let me know in the comments down below. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one.